According to the American Medical Association, neuropathy affects 1 in 15 Americans and might be the most common medical problem you don't know about. Let's find out more from Dr. Christopher Richards from Advanced Medical of Nashville. Welcome, doctor.
Good to be here.
Why do so many people suffer from neuropathy?
Well, in our clinic, we're seeing more and more causes every single day. But your typical ones are the high doses of the diabetes, the chemo treatments, past surgeries, especially to the back, knees, or hips, digestive problems, hormone problems, and now the big one we're seeing a lot more is actually from other medications that people are taking to treat something. It's causing the neuropathy as a side effect of that medication.
Well, that's interesting. So what symptoms, doctor, will a person typically experience?
Well, with somebody with neuropathy, they can have everything from numbness to tingling, burning, stabbing, shooting pains. Their feet will feel cold even though it's hot outside. They'll feel like they're walking on something that's broken glass, pads, or rocks. And then all the way up to, which we see a lot now because people want to be outside, is just how high the incidence of falls are with the uneven ground and grass. And that can lead to some serious risks.
Wow. So what does your clinic do different than some of the others in treating neuropathy?
Well, the big thing is we actually use physical treatments. We're not giving patients medications and that are just covered up like Lyrica or gabapentin. We're actually doing physical things that will treat that nerve. By actually strengthening the nerve, that is the way that we can actually get these people relief and get them back to enjoying their lives again. And we really want to help more people out there. So anybody who's sitting at home suffering from neuropathy, you need to call our office now. The first 20 people will receive a free consultation and exam to find out which of our therapies can help you.
Thank you, Dr. Richards.
This week on Fishin' Affliction TV.
Where these came from?
Where'd them come from?
Join us for part 2 of our tribute to the legendary Stump Spencer, featuring a bunch of fun of beautiful memories.
Mama.
Well, they come from Mama's basket.
That's right.
It don't get no better than this. Thank you, Mama.
Your Fishin' Affliction TV weekend begins Saturdays right here on News Channel 5+, your home for
Fishin' Affliction time for those who've got it bad.
When it comes to your money, whatever you want to get smart about, you can find at smartaboutmoney.org. Smart About Money is a free online resource. We are a non-commercial, non-profit organization dedicated to helping people just like you get information about money. For everything from how to build an emergency fund to how to deal with job uncertainty, smartaboutmoney.org has the answers you've been looking for. Smartaboutmoney.org, the easy place to start when you want to get smart about your finances.
Welcome back to Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Nick Barris along with Clint Kelly, malpractice attorney here in town. Nice to have you on, sir. And taking phone calls if you have a question or comment about his field of practice. And the number 737-7587. Let's go to Brian. Brian, good morning.
Hey, three things. First thing, what exactly is SARS? I've been hearing a lot about
SARS.
At hospitals. I know there's a lot of diseases and stuff in it, but you wouldn't think you get sick just from laying around the hospital. Second thing is, my brother's an eye doctor in Virginia. I got some relatives in Illinois and Florida. And I think the laws for lawsuits for medical malpractice, I think they're different in each state across the country. And third, I get my health care at a little clinic out in the country, and it's pretty good. When you have something like that, you have to participate a lot in your health. Like you have to, watch when they show like cholesterol, and you have to, diet, and it's very minimal. But when I go into Nashville, it's like, geez, St. Thomas, Vanderbilt, these huge monstrosities. I think healthcare is one of the top industries in Nashville, isn't it?
Well, sure it is. I mean, I think one of the things you mentioned, country music, and then we have a huge medical facility here with some big, respected hospitals.
Well, first of all, Nashville is known by many other states as being the healthcare capital of the United States.
Healthcare capital?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. Well, look who's here. HCA.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, if it's not the top, it's one of the tops, period, end of story.
Huh, okay.
Brian's right. The laws in each state are different pertaining to medical malpractice. There's a lot of similarity, obviously, but there are some major differences, and one we'll talk about a little later is the statute of limitations. That's a big difference here compared to other states. SARS is a respiratory illness I know very little about it, other than I believe it is infectious. There was some kind of SARS outbreak some period, I don't know, it was 2-3 years ago. I remember hearing about that. But MRSA is the thing right now that keeps healthcare providers up at night and should make everyone very concerned when they go to the hospital by being vigilant against acquiring an infection and making sure the infection is dealt with in an appropriate manner, because MRSA can kill you.
Yeah, that's the thing. You've told me more than once, you can go into the hospital with a condition and then end up worse off there, because let's face it, it's a hospital, it's full of germs, right? I mean, but now, how much of that is the responsibility of the hospital to do a better job sanitizing, and how much of it is just because you have so many sick people, that's just a reality that you're going to have to deal with?
Well, there's both. I mean, I can't remember, a few months ago, read an article about how hospitals have done a much poorer job over the last few years in sanitizing their equipment that they use and making sure their healthcare providers clean. I mean, it used to be, back in the old days, you washed your hands carefully. You put instruments in an autoclave, and that had the ability to disinfect. Well, now, a lot of your instruments are disposable, and some of them don't necessarily leave clean, or they're not used in the proper manner. Some healthcare providers don't wash their hands as often as they do, which stuns me. I mean, there's you can look, there's data on this online you can find where they have attributed this to greater rates of infections in hospitals. And of course, like you said, hospitals have patients, and that means you're going to have bugs. I mean, there's not much you can do to avoid it. I don't fault the healthcare providers for patients getting infected in the hospital most of the time, because I think it's out of their control most of the time. What I do fault them for is when they fail to diagnose and treat an infection in a timely manner.
Okay, and that can be real serious real fast.
Certainly.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good. Good morning to you.
I got a question. I've got a friend that was diagnosed 3 months ago for throat cancer, and she's yet to get started on her radiation due to her insurance company. She's got Medicaid, Medicare Part B. She's got the supplement. And so can you sue your insurance company for malpractice?
That's very interesting. In Tennessee, you cannot. There is no what we call common law claim. There's just no legal right to sue your health insurer, your HMO, for a business decision that results in a medical mistake that causes injury.
You can sue them for other things, though, right? Insurance companies, they're not immune to that. I mean,
failing to live up to their obligations under the contract to pay for health care, or making certain decisions under the health care policy that would prevent you from getting care. But the actual next step, which is what Michelle's talking about, which is the failure to give medical care, which leads to the failure of the patient to get treatment, therefore leading to a patient injury. That bridge has not been established in Tennessee. We were supposed to get that nationally in a health care law during the Bush administration. It was promised to us as part of the Patient Bill of Rights. I don't know if you remember that. It seems like eons ago. But we were all going to have a Patient Bill of Rights. It died in the Senate. But that was one of the provisions in the Patient Bill of Rights, was to give the patients the right to bring a claim against Blue Cross Blue Shield or Aetna or other health care insurers if their health care decision led to a deprivation of treatment that hurt or killed somebody. Because there were some really bad examples of that occurred nationally.
Gosh, I agree. I mean, especially if you were able to prove, let's say, okay, you couldn't file that suit, but let's say you sued them and said, listen, you denied me coverage, and under the plan I should have gotten it. And let's say you won, okay? But because of that denial, you did not get the treatment. And let's just say you win that first lawsuit. You can't come back with a second one and say, look, I just proved that you denied me when I should have had it coming. And because of that, I didn't get treatment for 1.5 years, and now the cancer spread throughout my body.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. I mean, you can't wait in that situation to have which, by the way, most of these contracts require arbitration. You've got to go through the administrative process. It could take well over 1 year to get a decision made. And, that's the kind of thing, that sort of wait could kill you.
Yeah.
So anyway, it gives you an idea who has power in the Congress when you can't get a simple law like that passed in a Patient Bill of Rights.
Wow, that was a good question. I had not thought of that, because you could make that. I think you could make that link, especially sometimes the denials are malicious.
Patients would have no problems at all bringing a claim against their health insurer for failing to pay for or authorize medically necessary procedures.
How do you think a jury would respond to that, as opposed to sometimes the way juries respond to going after a doctor?
They would be much, much more amenable to find justice against a HMO than they would their own doctor.
Yeah, and when you say doctors too, you find the juries here in Tennessee are fair, but sometimes it can be tricky getting past that and what they do and don't know about the doctor's liability, right?
Exactly. They have done studies on juries and medical malpractice cases to try to understand what the mindset is coming into these trials. Why is it that patients are losing 80 or 90% of these trials? And aside from the fact that some of these cases should never be going to trial, because there are obviously some weak cases, that's just the statistics are too high. There has to be some underlying reasons beyond just the merits of the case itself. I mean, your odds of going to Vegas and winning are better than they are in a malpractice trial.
Wow.
But one of the key things they found in these studies was that jurors come into court not knowing that the physician has insurance to cover the claim.
So they're thinking that if they lose, the insurers or the doctor's going to pay it out of his own pocket?
Exactly.
Really?
That is the mindset going in. And people don't know this. It is inadmissible in trial to prove that the doctor has health insurance or the nurse has health insurance or even the hospital. Some of them are self-insured, some of them have insurance through other companies. That is inadmissible evidence at court. We can never talk about it. The hospital or doctor can never talk about it.
But truth be told, I understand that. That should have no bearing. I don't care if they have insurance or not. I'm looking at whether or not a wrong was done, and I'm not, if there was a wrong done, going to say, oh, but you know what, yeah, they messed up, but he doesn't have insurance, so I'm not going to fine. Come on. A juror should not worry about this stuff. They just need to decide one way or the other and issue the verdict, and then how you pay it off, well, that's your problem if you were wrong.
Well, in a perfect world, that's correct. The problem is jurors sometimes do think about that. That does become a topic of the discussion. I think that the courts need to be more, I think there needs to be better instructions given to the jury about what they're supposed to do with that subject and making sure that it does not become a part of jury deliberations. I'm just telling you, jurors have concerns about that. They have concerns about whether or not the doctor could lose his job or be suspended, which is never an issue in these cases, never any proof about it. These are all reasons why when they go back in the jury room, you're saying, why is it harder to find against a doctor than it is against a mechanic? A mechanic, nobody ever thinks about that with a mechanic. A mechanic works for, you know, the tire company or whatever. They don't think he's going to be suspended, or they don't think he doesn't have insurance. They all think these people do. But doctors, they look at them differently, and that's one of the reasons why I think it's harder to win these cases.
I think that's changing, though, slowly but surely. I think it's changing. I mean, we're all understanding more about the role of doctor. But look, how many of us go to the doctor and then we just get the bill and we just pay it? Now, when I go to the mechanic and I look at what they did, and I'll ask them, now, what was this? You turned a screw here and charged me $50? Now I'm screwed. Why wouldn't you scrutinize the darn bill when you go to the doctor and say, well, okay, now how much was that aspirin? More people are doing that. More people, I think. Now, I don't know if you've noticed the attitudes changing among jurors yet, but I'm just more in tune with what doctors and hospitals are responsible with and trying to educate myself more. I used to never at all. I just take the bill and pass it on to insurance and not think about it.
If you look at a hospital bill, and I do it now in every case I have that involves a hospital, I always ask for the bill. When you go through the hospital bill, you would be amazed at the things that they charge for. And how much they charge for it. And you'll talk to the patient and you'll go through this bill and the patient says, I didn't get this. I'm not kidding. They'll go through line by line. I didn't get this. I didn't get that. They're wrong about this. And see, because insurance pays for these things in most cases, or the government, patients don't sit there and itemize these things and force the hospitals to give out a different bill.
I know.
It's just that's the cost containment aspect of this healthcare system that's sorely lacking.
Crazy. And the other thing, I love this. You know, you get kind of quoted what it's going to cost, and then you get your bill from your primary doctor. And then a week later, you get another bill from the anesthesiologist. And then you get another bill. And so it's kind of separated. You have to pay each one of these doctors, and then it starts adding up. Ever happened to you?
What if you knew, Nick, on the front end before you had, I mean, with plastic surgery, you do know this because they'll tell you, but wouldn't it be interesting if you went in for some health care and you were going to have procedures done, if someone sat there before and gave you an estimate, just like they would if they were doing repair on your car or your house, said, this is what it's going to cost. This person is going to charge this, this, and here's the bottom line. I wonder what that would do to people if they saw that on the front end.
If you're having chest pains, you're going to have a heart attack.
I'm not talking about emergency. I'm talking about elective procedures. Obviously, emergency, you can't do that.
Yeah, but you can ask for that, can't you?
You can
ask them to do that?
You can. See what happens.
Yes. All right, listen, we'll take a break on that note. This is good stuff. You're learning stuff here. I am. I think it's interesting. Think about how you deal with your doctor. The number is 737-7587. If you have a question about malpractice, give us a call. We're going to talk more with Clint Kelly when we come back right after this.